Today I'm going to model this Lego using Onshape and just my trusty calipers. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is click Shift S for sketch, click a plane and hit N for normal, R for rectangle, so I'm going to sketch that first main rectangle. Now I'm going to take my calipers out and I'm going to measure that across. I've got 31.8, and notice I didn't even have to use the dimension tool because the rectangle tool automatically throws me into dimensioning 31.8. And if I measure the other side across my Lego, I get 15.8. 15.8. Great. Now I'm going to just hit Shift E to extrude that. I didn't even have to get out of the sketch. It selected the plane for me. How far am I going to extrude it? I'm going to extrude it just the thickness, excluding those nubs, 9.6. 9.6. Great. Now I have the main rectangle. I'm going to hit P to get rid of the planes, F to zoom to fit, and there I've got my main part of my geometry. Next, I'm going to do the nubs. Now, I'm going to hit Shift S, click this plane, and hit normal. I'm going to sketch on that top plane there. Now, because I'm using calipers to sort of reverse engineer, I'm going to find things that are really easy to measure. Measuring across all the nubs is really easy. That is 29 millimeters across. So I'm going to hit R again, and then Q for construction lines. And I'm going to draw a rectangle right here, 29 across. And then I'm going to measure across the nubs the other way, and I get 13 millimeters across. So that rectangle that I just measured really easily with my calipers is going to define the area of my nubs. I'm going to hit C for circle, draw a circle on here. Oops, I made that a construction circle, so I'm going to click and hit Q. There we go. Now I'm going to measure the diameter of that nub. That's pretty easy to do using my calipers, and it's 4.9. So I'm going to hit D for dimension, 4.9. Great. Now I'm just going to push that thing into the corner, that circle into the corner by clicking it and then clicking one of the lines at T for tangent and then do that again, T for tangent, and that thing is fixed in space. I can click the extrude button or Shift E, and I want to extrude just that. Now I need to measure the height of one of those nubs. I think the easiest way to do that is most calipers have this thing on the bottom where I can just push that down onto the surface and it'll measure out the height for me. Turns out to be 1.8. And whoops, and let's try that again, make sure it's 1.8, and that is the height of my nub. Now I want to pattern that. It's an easy linear pattern, entities to pattern. I want it to be a feature pattern. I'm going to pattern that guy. The direction is along this way, and the distance will be the width that I measured a minute ago, that 29 millimeters across, minus, divided by 3, right, because I'm going to pattern 1, 2, 3 more. But I need to subtract out that original width. And I can just type that math straight into Onshape. I'm going to say 29 minus, what was it, 4.9 was the diameter of my nub, divided by 3. I might need to type millimeters there. And direction, forgot the direction. So there. Oops, and I did both extrude, so I just want to do number 1. There we go. And I want 4 of those. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a second direction. I'm going to click for the direction I want along that edge. The distance, I'm just going to copy, paste. Now again, so I typed the math in there. I don't even know the direction of the nubs or the dimensions, but I just typed the math in there. Got to flip that direction around, and there, I'm good. So now I've got a good looking Lego. The inside is kind of hollowed out, so let's do that next. I'm going to sketch on this plane, Shift S and then N for normal. Let's see, I'm going to measure the thickness of the wall. That's pretty easy to do with my calipers, and that is 1.2. So I'm going to use the offset button to do that. I'm going to click offset, click this whole face, and flip the direction of that and make it, oops, yeah, 1.2. So I just used offset to create that rectangle. Now there's 3. I'm going to cut that inner, basically haul this thing out, but at the same time, I'm going to cut out those 3 features in there. Why not? So I'm going to draw some circles. Hit C for circle. I'm going to draw 6 circles really quick because they're hollow. I'm going to draw 6 circles like that. I probably could have patterned them or something, but that's fine. Now I'm going to click the outer circles and say equal. So click the 3 outer circles. Notice my mouse has a little 3 next to it, and just hit E for equal. Then I'm going to click the inner circles and do the same thing. E for equal. Now it's pretty easy for me to measure using my calipers, measure that outer one. That outer one is 6.5. That's pretty easy for me to do. So D for dimension 6.5. Now measuring the inner one is hard, but it is pretty easy to measure the thickness. I can kind of squeeze my calipers down on the wall, and I can measure that thickness to be 0.8. So I'm going to grab these two circles and say they're 0.8 apart from each other. Let's see. Now, it's hard for me to figure out the spacing here, but one thing I can do with my calipers is go all the way across all three of them and measure all the way across is 22.6. So here's how I'm going to fix that. I'm going to type L for line, Q for construction. I'm just going to draw, I'm going to draw LQ. If you click and drag, it won't draw a second line. That's a good trick. Then I'm going to type D for dimension. What did I say? 22.6 across, 22.6. And then I'm going to take this circle and make it tangent to that line with the T button, the T keyboard shortcut, and same over there. Now I just need to make, let's do another LQ to make another line here in the center that I'm going to use for symmetry. So I'm going to take the center of the two outer circles and that line and make them symmetric. And there, my sketch is fully defined. They already grabbed, when I was sketching, I made sure they were all lined up horizontally. So I can hit the extrude button, and I'm going to extrude that as a remove. I got to figure out how deep that is. I'm going to use the other end of my calipers again. I'm just going to shove my calipers down there so this measures the height. And let's see, that is 8.6. Let's double check that. Nope, gotta get that right. Let's do that. 7.4. So I'm gonna say 7.4 is the thickness, and that is done. Oops, and I forgot to extrude out the middle, so I'm gonna edit that and also grab the middle of those circles there. That looks good. Okay, and the last thing I'm gonna do, there's a little rib in here which I wanna draw, and making ribs is so amazingly easy in Onshape. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a plane offset from that plane because the ribs don't start right there at the top. Yeah, that's a good way to do that. So that is offset in the other direction, and it is, let's measure that using my calipers, 2.3, 2.3. And then I can just sketch on that. 2.3. Let's try that. So now if I hit Shift S, this, and then hit and for normal, if I try to sketch a line right now, I can't grab that existing geometry. So I think the easiest thing to do is hit Use and grab that line, that line, and that line. Now when I type L for line, I'll snap to that. I'm going to draw a line here and another line here. And I'm going to use those two. Notice they're black. That means they're fully constrained. I'm going to use those two lines I just drew to make a rib, and it's that easy. So I'm going to click the rib button, and what do I want? I want to use these two sketch lines. I want my rib to be normal to the sketch plane, and then I just need to measure the thickness of those ribs. And let's get my calipers in there. They are 0.8 thick, 0.8. And okay. I'm going to hide that plane, and I usually also hide my origin for some reason. That's not bad. Pretty good looking Lego there with the hollowed out bottom, some ribs, and dimensions that I was able to really easily measure using my calipers.